with one, it's time for part 3, where we're going to look at the newly revealed cards for Secrets of Power. We are only 1 month away from Secrets of Power officially being here in the TCG. I'm recording this on October the 3rd, and we got a whole chunk ton worth of cards, and we did get our Legends cards for the set. We did get revealed the Legend cards from this set, and just to spoil it, KOTAR 2 are Legend cards. So, Legends of the Force gave us KOTAR 1, and then now Legend Secrets of Power is giving us KOTAR 2. I would suspect probably a lawless time if the Legend cards continue to reveal for the KOTAR games. Are if you don't know what that represents, Knights of the Old Republic. I wouldn't be surprised if Knights of the Old Republic 3 be the next set of Legends cards when we get a lawless time. The 7th set of Star Wars Unlimited. But enough about that. Let us discuss our new cards, because there's a lot of interesting cards to discuss and a lot of interesting strategies that are already like popping my head of like what I want to do when these cards come out officially, what I want to build, what am I going to be looking for, and all of that. Once again, all the cards down here are all, of course, we've discussed in part 2, as well as we have part 1, which discussed, of course, some of the starter deck leaders, some of the starter deck cards, and a lot of the other cards we got revealed as well. So, yeah, that's all good there. So let us begin with Sinister Chuchi. We first met her in the Star Wars The Clone Wars episode. That's the Snow Planet one. Anyways, she's just a restore 1, 3/2, 3/2/5. Restore 1 on attack. Your other friendly officials gain restore 2 for the face, which is kind of sounds the same as what Yaddle does. Yaddle is a 2-drop 2/4 that on attack all your other Jedi get restore 1. So I do like this, and we'll discuss this because we do have Mon Mothma as a leader, and so this will be very much a useful card for Mothma. But even then, even for like just a generic blue 3-drop 2/5, the restore 1 isn't bad, but she's definitely more potentially better if you're running a deck that runs officials, because that's where we want to be. We want a deck that's running a lot of officials, so that we can get that restore 2 off of them. Just like if you're running Yaddle, you want to usually run a lot of Jedi in your deck so that you can get the restore off. But a lot of times Yaddle is in there for blue strategies because you have a Force base and you're just trying to manipulate the Force, i.e. like Cal Kestis, i.e. Qui-Gon, i.e. anyone who's using a Force blue base will usually do the 2-drop Yaddle. But again, restore 1 is pretty nice. Being a 2/5 is pretty nice, so she has some staying power. And again, like I said, she's much better if you were running a deck with a bunch of officials. Then we have Congress of Magistrate. The first upgrade you play for each phase costs one less. Kind of the exact same thing as the Guardian of Wills. Guardians of Wills, though, is in rotation and is a 2-drop 2/2, where this is a 5/5/5. So there's just that, but still not bad to like get reduced upgrade costs. Is always pretty nice. We have another legendary in the set in the Voltan Pala. This is the ship that hovers over the droid control ship that hovers over Naboo in episode 1 of Phantom Menace. This unit costs 1 less for each friendly droid unit. Each friendly droid unit may be exhausted to pay costs as if it were a resource. I like that we're getting this mechanic in the game where tokens, or even droids, period, feel a whole lot better. Because not only can you just use droids as resources to pay costs, which now means that you have 2 methods to pay costs. It's also nice because if this is a mechanic we see more and more coming out into the game in future sets, it'd be really cool to see if more units could be turned into resources. Now, it really will matter about if those cards are more built for the expanded format, which I think a lot of people are very hesitant to play. Even people at my locals are hesitant to play because there's not really going to be a control on what is banned and what can be limited or anything like that. Because again, it's all just everything is legal. Everything is legal. Leaders like Boba Fett from Spark Rebellion is back in the game. You have the old loops with Han Solo and DJ back in the game. You have Jango Fett back in the game. So you have all the leaders and cards that we currently have banned that keep the meta, fresh and safe, and, not feeling like one deck dominates the entirety of the meta won't really be there in the expanded format, which will then leave a lot of questions of what will Fantasy Flight Games do with the expanded format, if they're simply going to like do tournaments with it, or if they're going to watch for data. Are they going to ban cards from the Eternal format? Which then begs the question, if we have an Eternal format, we have a ban list there and a ban list here, is that worth it? But again, the matterment is that we would have to see data from that. We'd have to see games. Is Boba Fett, is Jango Fett, are Han and DJ really still a problem in the Eternal format with now like even 7 sets worth of cards in it? And if they are, maybe there's a chance they just get banned outright in the Eternal format, and they just have to stay banned until they get power crept out by something else. So we'll just kind of have to see how the Eternal format works, because again, this control ship is good right now because we still have cards that can bring out battle droids from set 3. All the Twilight Republic cards can bring out battle droids, all the tokens, and then those are considered droids. You can use that to rest it. We will lose all of that in rotation. But another person that really can use this, because it is a capital class vessel, is Piet Red right now. Piet Red is kind of Piet has kind of been moving into this red droid combo deck where you're running like a probe droid, you're running the Vulture droid, you're running HK-47. Some people run a few copies of the Viper droid. So you have all these droids you play out of because of the effect of the Invisible Hand from JTL that's on attack. When played on attack, look at the top card of your deck, you can grab a droid from it. If it's a 2 cost or less, you can play it for free. So this will really be interesting to see if Piet Red takes a lot of advantage of this to now play even more droids, so that you can reduce your you can use droids alongside resources to even further reduce out your capital class vessels, and then keep resources still standing for stuff like Turbo Laser Salvo, Overwhelming Barrage, stuff like that that can be then played out, or maybe easy using enough of them alongside Piet to play out one capital ship, and then using your resources alongside Piet to play out another capital class vessel. So it'd be very interesting to see what this is. I think there is a chance where you could do some thing with like General Grievous from Twilight Republic, having him because he's very much into the droid army aspect, and then playing him with this. The problem is you'd have to do Grievous Green, and the problem there is that this is a 9-cost ship, so there's a chance that Grievous never makes a 9 cost. That's why I think Piet's probably where it's going to go. But nonetheless, I like, I guess that's a lie, because Piet can bring this out cheaper. This can be brought out cheaper via its own effect of it costs 1 less for each droid unit. So I do see possibility where a green Grievous strategy could actually be played because of its own ability to reduce its cost. But still, that's very questionable. I think Piet's still where this ship's going to exist, even with that reduced cost. But I could see it going either way. People probably maybe trying out with Grievous, and once the set drops, and then there's probably going to be it probably will teeter more into being more of a Piet strategy with Piet Red. We got a new leader in Mon Mothma. We finally got her, everybody. We finally got her. If you want to know, I think her showcase will be a really cool showcase of her standing before the Senate, speaking out against the Emperor after the big genocide, which is where we see like the nature of the Emperor. This is where Mon Mothma really pushes for the rebellion to be a thing. Again, we saw that in Andor Season 2. We knew about it in the Rebels TV show, so we known about this for a while. But nonetheless, I'm glad we got Mon Mothma. Originally, now I will joke, I thought she was allowed you to play not just ignore the aspect penalty on even the villainy officials. No, you can't do that. So she's kind of got the exact same aspect of what Hera does right now in the game. Hera states that you ignore the aspect penalty on all Spectres. So Spectres, you always play the natural cost of. So Kanan, because Hera's naturally, so a lot of people play Hera Lake Country, you don't pay the aspect penalty for Hera. For Kanan, Kanan typically is Vigilance Heroic and is a 4 cost already. We're not running blue curly because of Lake Country, so we typically had to pay 6 for Kanan, but thanks to Hera, we just don't pay anything. So Mon Mothma is a Hera-style leader where we, and I think it's the first time we're seeing a Hera-style leader in a while. I know we have like Qui-Gon can do stuff like that, where he can play non-villainy units out of your hand for free, minusing its color, but still, you still don't really do that. You usually play in your color. So it's going to be very interesting. We got another leader that really just ignores aspect penalties, just doesn't care. I mean, we do have Anakin from LOF, that can ignore the aspect penalty for villainy upgrades and events, so you don't have to pay the aspect penalty there, so it's just playing normal. But still, really cool. So you just ignore the aspect penalties on all your non-villainy officials, and then you can each other friendly official. That's all she does on her front side. She flips for 5 on 3/7. I wish she had maybe a restore 1 on her. I mean, yeah, Hera's not good on her flip either. At least Hera's a little better on her flip because she gets she can give experience tokens to specters. But still, I mean, she still gives the exact same thing. You could still ignore aspect penalties for non-villainy official units, and then each other friendly official unit gets a +1/+0. I'm not sold on that backside ability. I'm really not. I like Hera's backside ability for her ignoring the concept, but still, I mean, this does give you a little more staying power. I mean, that's why I said, like, Senator Chuchi is really nice for Mon Mothma, because she's also an official, so she can actually give even Mon Mothma Restore 2. And because you're now able to play all these officials out ignoring the aspect penalty, that's kind of what you're getting into. This is going to be official tribal, even though I feel like a lot of the good officials so far we've seen has been in villainy, which I feel like is going to go in Sly more. Still, it's cool. I mean, I've been begging. I wanted the Mon Mothma leader in this game. I mean, Secrets of Power, the second we got politics, I knew we'd had to have a Mon Mothma leader. There's just no reason for us not to have a Mon Mothma leader. So, yeah, it's really nice. You can just ignore the aspect penalty. So, blue, green, red. She's naturally green, so it doesn't matter. But any blue, red, and yellow, all those officials can now be put in your deck and ignore the aspect penalty. We'll have to kind of see. I haven't seen any extra events that have like official on it, because we would have to have the official keyword so that event can have the ignore aspect so we can ignore the aspect penalty. But I haven't seen that yet. No, we have law events now in the game, but I haven't seen any official events in the game. Not saying that we're going to get them. Maybe we'll get them in a lawless time and in the remaining 3 sets before we rotate again for the second rotation. But again, I'm just glad. She's a common leader, by the way. I'm just glad we got Mon Mothma. I am probably going to try something out with her, because I do really enjoy Hera. I do want to see what this leader can do. I'm glad we finally got her. So I will kudos to that. We got a Mon Mothma leader. That was someone I want. I would definitely like her showcase, especially if she's like petitioning before the Senate, which I think would be a really, really cool art for her. To have her like petitioning before the petitioning before the Senate and everything, especially after the genocide. Then we have a 335. I like this. I just like this stat line at 335. That is a nice stat line. New Republic official. That's all that is. We have the Alderaanian envoys for 637 restore 3. Again, we're seeing a couple of official cards that can just go from Mon Mothma here. So I mean, that's pretty nice. I mean, a 337. I wish this may have been a 4 for maybe a 6 drop would have been a little better, but I mean, it's still not bad. I mean, if you combine with like Senator Chuchi, this becomes a restore 5 hitting for 3 damage, which is still bad, and it has a good staying power at 7 health. Now we have Leia Organa. Leia is here, everybody. This is the second, well, actually it'll be the 3rd Leia leader, because Battle of Hoth, the little side set that's like a little quick pick-me-up set to help you and someone else really get into the game. We do get a Leia leader from Hoth for that as well. So we do have now 3 Leia leaders in the game. Personally, the only really good one is going to be always Spark Rebellion. I really would like a showcase of that one. But the Hoth one is less to be desired. And this one, I'm not sold on either. So you could pay 1 tapper, disclose every color in the game besides villainy. If you do, give an experience token to a unit that doesn't share that aspect with that disclosed card. I'm a little stranged out how this is going to work, because it does the exact same thing on her backside. On attack, you may disclose anything but villainy. And if you give an experience token, unit that doesn't share an aspect with that disclosed card. So if, say, for instance, you're in blue-green, so your vigilance, heroic, and then cunning, you have to, and you only have cunning cards out, you can't exactly show a cunning card in your hand and you didn't give a cunning card. So, am I sold on this leader? She comes out in 6, she's a 4/7. I don't know. I think there's something you could do with it. But again, it's really going to matter how you build out the deck, because if you're only building with, say, 3 colors, your heroic, your vigilance, and then whatever your secondary base color is, it's really going to matter on that, because then you'd have to at least disclose one of the other colors. So you've only have a heroic. I mean, if you have like mono heroic, that's not too bad, because you disclose like either command any of the other colors and then give it. So it really will matter on how you structure out your deck and where your units are on your board state, to really get this to go off. I mean, it's probably not that bad in like a draft format, because you'd have so little cards, but in like a true like structured format, I'm not sold on this leader. She's neat, don't get me wrong, she's neat, but I'm not sold on her being good. Because again, it really matters on, do you have a color in your hand that does not coincide with the colors on your board state? So if you only have blue guys in your hand right now, and you're not seeing your engine from your base, then you can't really give anything like that. And again, you can give a whole bunch of experience tokens to one guy, so it could be that way. But again, we'll have to kind of see. Maybe there's a way to build around her. Again, I think it really matters on how you build her. What's your ratios between your colors, so that you're not sitting on one type of unit and not drawing the other type of card in your hand. Because you could disclose anything. You could disclose an event, an upgrade, a unit, anything like that. So you can always get. So I think there are things you can do with this leader. Don't get me wrong. I don't think she's bad, but I just don't know where to go with her. Her effect just doesn't dazzle me. And I'm being honest, not a lot of these leaders really dazzle me in playing. I'm going to do Ghidra. I'm going to do Luth and Rao, because I think those are some fun ones. Ghidra, just red, blue villainy control. And then I like Luth and Rao. I'm not sure where I'll put them in just yet. I may do double red Luth and Rao, because then I can get my hands on aggression and Paz-Vizsla, so that I can have all these guys go and punch space. But nonetheless, I like I said, I'm glad we got Mon Mothma. Leia, I'm not too sold on, but I think there's some aspects where some people could build maybe some interesting like Leia decks. I'm not saying she's going to win PQ, but then I'll probably come back to this video and suddenly she's won a PQ. Yeah, I'll probably eat those words. All right, moving on. We got another legendary in Cassian Andor. I like this legendary. If we're talking legendaries that I feel have strong playability right now, and we've seen some, like we've seen the Unity card it's on this other page here. Like we've seen where is it? Sorry, I thought it was on I know I just spoiled all those cards for you, but I swore it was here. Well, we did see, oh, there it is. Figure of Unity. I mean, that's not a bad card. I do really see like that going into like Unity of Purpose Rex. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's good. Like the Voltan Pala is good. We will talk about the Kotar legendaries, because those actually are really good too. But anyways, Cassian Andor feels like a really good legendary to get your hands on right now, especially if you're in a blue heroic strategy. When this unit is defending, the attacker gets -2, -0. So anytime he's attacked, your opponent's always having to lose 2 attack. And an enemy card ability would deal 2 damage to the unit, prevent 2 of that damage. So you can't, depending on what you fight him with, he may not even die by the unit. Depending on if you hit him like with a Daring Raid, he doesn't die to the Daring Raid. You'd have to literally like punch at him with at least a guy with 4 more damage, 4 more attack, or you'd have to hit him with like an open fire. So he becomes sort of this nuisance card that a lot of people probably don't want to beat down. So I could see him as like a 2-drop that's a 2/2 that becomes a nuisance for a lot of decks to deal with. Because even a guy that's a like 3/4, like say you swing with Cal Kestis, in this guy, Cal Kestis is only dealing a damage point back. And that is it. That's all Cal Kestis does back. Unless he's got like a blaster or like an open or like a surprise strike or anything like that. So for a lot of cards that have 3 to 2 attack points, even cards that don't even have any, like 1, can't even hurt him. And then the ability to always reduce 2 damage dealt to him by an effect is really nice as well. So funny enough, you could have like this out and your opponent targets it with Ditra. Ditra states that either I draw a card or you do 2 damage to it. So the funny part is you could easily just let Ditra do the 2 damage to Cassian, and then you just negate the Ditra damage there with Cassian. There's also, of course, cards like Cad Bane. Cad Bane's effect to when he taps himself, you could pick a card to deal 1 damage to it. So then you could just go, I'm going to Cad Bane, play an Underworld Cad Bane. You choose the guy you're going to hurt. I'm just going to hurt Cassian, and then I'm just going to prevent that damage on him because of his own effect, which is pretty cool. So I think there's a lot of playability with Cassian because I think he's more of a nuisance card. Your opponent's going to have to swing at least a more powerful body or burn some kind of event card just so they can remove Cassian Andor from the field because of his -2/-0 when defending, and the fact that he has the ability to prevent 2 damage to him from card effects. So really cool card there. Really, really neat card. Love this legendary. I think this has a lot of playability in the meta. We have the Rotunda Senate Guards, the guys that die a lot in the Clone Wars. While this unit is damaged, it gains Sentinel. Yep. That's about it. It's a cool card. I mean, at least it could swing, deal damage, and then gain Sentinel at least for a turn before it dies off to something else. But yeah, I mean, that's probably what the Guard's purpose is in the Clone Wars. Even though Palpatine technically is an all-powerful Sith Lord. But nonetheless, an okay card. We'll move on past that. Hyperspace Disaster, destroy all space units. This feels like just another way to kind of deal with space. I think this is coming in because of the fact that once we rotate and we have JTL, LOF, and Secret of Power, and the Lawless Time, I do feel that JTL leaders and space decks may start taking a big chunk of the meta again, because there's, so far what we've seen, there isn't as much unique upgrade hate on them specifically, so they will be able to sustain a long time damage. Like I said, I think the more hyper aggressive deck that we'll see for like pure aggression will be Kazuto from JTL, him being able to attach to a fighter and then activating the effect of Trench Run on that fighter, swinging and then dealing a bunch of damage to your opponent's base, and then having to have your opponent figure out a way to remove him from the unit. So I do feel like maybe they are assuming that the fact of space decks is also nice currently in the meta, especially if JTL leaders, because we've seen a lot of them actually pop up throughout this meta. It would be pretty good in this meta to have like, oh, I know that JTL leaders are going to be meta, then I can use this to make sure I can remove like big board states. It's also really nice to help deal with like Piet, especially once they get to their big ships, to just remove them off the board. Most times, I'm not sure if you'll be surviving long enough to get to 7, but because of Piet's ability to reduce the cost, but still, it's a nice card. It's just a good way to just like clean the space units out of the board. So we're just kind of like to see right now. I feel like it's to be a side deck card or really a meta tech if you feel the meta is heavy on space. And again, LOF doesn't really has only really a lot of upgrade hate meta techs because of Kylo LF, because of the JTL leaders that we have that level of power. So this feels like it could be something that you may want to like think about in the back of your head as we move into the sec meta of our GTL leaders going to come out. And we won't really know. Again, we'll only get like once Seka is out, a lot of people might still be trying out older deck strategies. People kind of figure out what to play, and we'll have to kind of see what the results are as, you know, tournaments, PQs, qualifiers, sectors, all kind of start piling in after Sec's release, is seeing at kind of like what really was the best deck. And again, we'll probably still see the decks from old like Quinlan and Cad Bane, because they did get some buffs in this set as well. And like I said, there are some good buffs for other leaders as well. So we're gonna have to see, because there's a lot of buffs to older leaders and buffs to strategies, as well as cards I feel like have more of a buff maybe once we get into rotation. But nonetheless, just a good way to kill a bunch of space units. Probably a side deck or meta tech, depending on where the meta is. I'm not saying it's going to be like in every single deck. So again, it really matters on what your locals are playing and what like the meta is and what people are playing to really make this card work. But nonetheless, it's really good against Piet. I'll give credit to that. I mean, just kill all of Piet's capital class vessels, especially if they've gotten wide onto them, which is pretty nice. We got Corporate Warmongering. Give a friendly unit +3/+3 for this phase. Give another friendly unit +1/+1 for this phase. Just a nice way to buff up a couple units and swing for big damage. We got Chancellor Valorum before, of course, he is ousted by Chancellor Palpatine. When this unit completes an attack, you may disclose triple command. If you do, put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. So he is basically just a ramp strategy. That's him. But the problem is, if you're not playing in double green, he's not going to probably see a lot of play, because if you're not playing him in double green, he already has the penalty on 7. If you play him in Mon Mothma, you don't take this penalty for the aspect penalty, because again, she ignores aspect penalties, so she just will come out on 5 instead of the typical 7 or 5 if you're not playing double green. So yeah, I mean, I like it. The problem again, you do have to disclose triple commands out of your hand so that you can get to put the top card of your deck into your resources. So that is the big question. It's a nice card to ramp. Is it going to be a good card to ramp? I don't know. As of right now, it feels like 𝐒𝐓𝐾𝐄 isn't too bad to ramp. Villainy still has the best ramp in Super Laser Tech. And I mean, every deck's still going to play the exact same card of, resupply right now. But I mean, if you were going to run like a double green, I would say Command's not too bad of a card to play in that strategy either, because that does give you yet another card to ramp. Now, again, we'll have to see. I think it's not that too bad of a card to put in Mon Mothma, because you can ignore the aspect penalty. The fact is of that extra green resource here because of Mon Mothma. So you can technically play him out for just a 5 cost, and then if you happen to be able to complete his attack and then get the top card, at least it's nice to be able to ramp maybe even just once, so you're always one ahead on your opponent at any one time. So there is just that aspect to keep your eyes out on. I think, honestly, he's just a Mon Mothma unit. I don't see many decks really playing double green just so they can play this guy, but at least if you play double green, you're not without the aspect of having plenty of green cards. Whether it's double green Villainy or double green Heroic is up for debate there, but still a neat card nonetheless. We got a Screeching TIE Fighter. On attack, you may choose a ground unit. It loses its keyword. I like that. A space unit that is a 2/1 that just forces a keyword off of your opponent. Really, really nice. Really good if you need a keyword gone like Saboteur, like Ray. Just get rid of that keyword altogether just so you can sustain a little longer in the game. Next on the docket, we got ourselves another Grand Moff Tarkin unit. So far, we've only ever had 2 of these guys now. The first one was a starter deck exclusive that looks at Imperial units. Looks for Imperial units on the top of your deck. Now we have this one. When played, take control of an enemy non-leader vehicle unit. When this unit leaves play, that unit's owner takes control of that unit. So basically, it's a change of heart or choose side that doesn't have a penalty to it. So choose side, you have to trade one of your units for one of your opponent's units. Change of heart, you take one of your opponent's units, and then take it for the turn. You can do that. Again, those cards all have the penalty of that. Well, I guess choose size doesn't, but change of heart states that I get my unit back at the end of the turn. But nonetheless, it's a neat card. Again, the one problem that I think I could see with this card is that vehicle tag. If you kind of look around like the LOF meta, the vehicle units that we've gotten are, of course, from the JTL leaders. Most of the decks in the LOF meta really aren't playing like vehicles. Take a look. Maybe Sabine is running some A-Wings, and that's really it. Or maybe running Bright Hopes. That's really maybe about the most of the vehicles she's running. Take a look at like Quinlan Tarkentown. The most vehicle they run is the Millennium Falcon, which already has an effect built in that you would have to then be paying to keep the Millennium Falcon on the board. Cal Kestis, even like a deck like, even decks like we've seen, a lot of vehicle units really aren't played in strategies. They really are only played maybe as like a small subside. Maybe sure, you play against the Piet strategy, you can steal one of its big ships. Congratulations, they'll just play another big ship that then kills off your Tarkin and gets you back their big ship. So, yeah, I don't like it goes after vehicle units, but it makes sense. Contextually, he did take over control of the Death Star from, of course, Krennic. So it makes sense why he goes after vehicle units. But again, unless the meta has a good variety of vehicle units, for a 6/6 that's still what? And a Millennium Falcon that you didn't have to pay that cost for? An A-Wing, maybe you get lucky and you play like a Kira or like a Piet and you can steal a big cruiser. Maybe you play against Vader, but I don't know, most Vader decks kill you before you can get the 6 because of the fact that they flip on 6, they add themselves to the Y-Wing. Even if you stole the Clone Combat Squadron, it doesn't really matter. He just attaches himself to another vehicle and then punches you in the face. So it really will kind of matter if the meta really allows this card to like thrive. Because even for me, like if I'm going to my locals, maybe I won't take this card because again, yeah, yellow villainy, maybe that's pretty good. Maybe you could throw in Sly more, but again, he's so dependent on the fact that you have to play decks that have vehicle units and you have to survive up until 6. And again, 2/6 still, yeah, he's not like going to die immediately, but he's still not like all that strong. But still, I'm not sold on him so much. But he's still a cool card. Again, like I said, if the meta turns into a JTL strong meta, then maybe he can play a use to where more vehicles are in play that he can steal. But as of right now, I'm not so sure how much he actually will see play. But still, a neat card. I mean, literally a vehicle unit, it gets stolen. And unless your opponent has a way to deal with the ground, with him on the ground, it's not too bad of a thing just to steal like a unit, which is pretty nice. Then we have a Junior Senator. When play, return upgrade, cost 3 or less to his own hand. This is literally the only card we've seen that has not specifically stated you can't target that you have to specifically target non-unique. Now it's 3 or less, so it guards itself against all the JTL leaders. You can't return Poe, you can't return Kaz, you can't return Han, you can't return Luke, you can't return Chewbacca. Yeah, because Chewbacca is naturally a 5-cost character unit because it's always going to go on the natural cost of the card. So you can't really return like any of the JTL leaders with this. So they're not immediately just going to slap onto a vehicle and then Junior Senator, whoop, there goes the vehicle. He literally cannot target those. So, still, I mean, it can target shields because technically shields are 0, experiences are 0. It can target lightsabers. It can target anything like that. The problem that you see is that it returns to hand, so you probably just have to play it to put it back under again. And most upgrades are a cost of 2 to 3 to put it on. So, still, okay. Nonetheless, again, like I said, I feel like with them wanting the GTO leaders to thrive in the post-meta, in the post-rotation era, I feel like we are definitely going to see possibly more cards of this be very prevalent in like even Lawless Time, Homeworld, Ashes of an Empire, and even Homeworld, where they're not going to be so prevalent to immediate of a super upgrade hate so that the JTL leaders can thrive throughout the rotation. But nonetheless, it's a neat card for a lot of other things. I think I'd use it more to rip off shields and experience tokens off of my opponent's unit. But again, it does not rip away a single JTL leader. Kaz is almost on there. If it had sent 4 up to its owner's hand, then Kazuda would be at that risk because Kaz does flip over on 4 and he is a 4-cost leader. But lucky enough, this can't target Kaz. So that's why I say Kaz is a good idea to maybe check out as a potential aggressive style of deck once we rotate when Sabine ECL is officially out of the meta. We have Catch Unaware. You attack with the unit, defender gets -4, -0 for this attack. It's kind of like Surprise Strike, but Prize Strike gives you a +0. But I do like this one kind of for a like Luthen Rao yellow strategy, because then you could attack with a unit and Luthen Rao wants you to swing units into your dudes and kill them. But still, I mean, it's never too bad to like pay 2 and then have something kill something off, and then just make sure you're always constantly keeping your opponent's board state under control. Is always nothing to scoff at. Not a bad card. I could definitely see it even in my own thing. I could definitely see this like in Qui-Gon Jinn, so that you can have guys so that way you can get the force immediately. You don't have to wait a turn. You can go this, swing one of your force guys and do one of your opponent's guys. They get -4 so they don't deal damage back to you. And you can maybe kill that unit off or deal 2 damage to it and then gain the force and do stuff with it, which is pretty nice. Nonetheless, it's a pretty cool card. Right now, I still say Surprise Strike is the better 2-drop attack with a unit right now. But still, I think there's some possibilities for this being interesting. We have another leader in Governor Price. Again, I believe this person comes from the Star Wars The Rebels thing. And then she's about tokens. So action, pay 1, tap her, ready a token unit. So typically tokens come in on rested, which means that she can burn for a lot of interesting things because she creates spy tokens, which is pretty interesting. So on attack, she creates spy tokens. She can restand spy tokens. So it's kind of telling you that you want to be doing a token spam strategy with her, because also this unit gets +1, +0 for each friendly token unit. So meaning that she can get up there. So if you have 5 token guys on the board, she's then turning herself into a 9/6 at that point, because she gets a +1 for each other friendly unit. So it's not a plus. This unit gets +1 for each friendly. If we just say this unit gets a +1 for if you have a friendly token unit. So basically, she'd go to be like being a 5/6 instead of a 4/6. So she can get kind of out of hand depending on how you build her. She on attack creates a spy token. She already gets a buff there. So that means on attack, you create a spy, and then she would be a 5/6. And if you've got other tokens already on the board, you can do stuff with that. And as many cards as we've seen that has spam out spy tokens, spam out stuff like droids and anything like that, clone troopers. She's very interesting. Now, funny enough, a friend pointed out a good thing to think about for her is to do her in Twin Suns. You can do Vader JTL and then her. And then funny enough, because of her effect on her front side to pay 1, stand a TIE token, and Darth Vader generates TIE tokens, technically you can generate a bunch of TIE tokens and then restand those TIE tokens. And then because your sky is going to be filled with TIE tokens, you come out on 6. And then depending if you have like 5 or 6 TIE tokens, she's already getting a buff, not mentioning her own buff on attack with spies. So something to think about if you're thinking about Twin Suns. I think that's a good combo. Someone pointed out that's actually kind of a very gross combo to play her and Darth Vader together as a Twin Sun strategy. But nonetheless, I think she's really cool. I think she should not be underestimated. I think she's just a common leader. Yeah, no, she's a rare leader. Okay, she's one of the rare leaders we got out of the set. So I don't think she should be underlooked at how many cards we have that do create spy tokens, especially a lot of them in green. We should not underlook the leader as being good. Being able to have a bunch of spy tokens that can come out, she can restand so they can immediately swing that turn. Heck, you can even, because if you play her in green, then you have actions to then you have like the battle droids you can do stuff with and all of that. So you have all these different cards that now create tokens, like all the Twilight Republic cards that create battle droid tokens, all the cards that create spy tokens. You have all of these cards that can create tokens. I think can start making this deck turn into like a token spam strategy, where basically all you're doing is you're going to spam tokens onto the board and then force your opponent to have to out all your tokens. Otherwise, I bring out on 6, and let's say I have 6 tokens on the board. If I'm reading her ability correct, I could then become a 10/6 that my opponent has to deal with on my flip. I become a 10/6 on flip that, well, most units would die immediately into, would be killed instantaneously off. So there is that. I would also advise making sure to try to keep her protected because she's only a 6 health unit. So there's just that as well. But nonetheless, I mean, the ability to spam out tokens and literally just have the ability to get buffed by tokens every single time, because begin the writing on this and interpretation of this states that when this unit gets a +1/+0 for each friendly token, it would say if it's just supposed to be her turning into a 5/6, that she gets a +1 as long as you own a token on the board. Something like that writing. So there's interesting things I think you can do with this later, where she becomes such a massive nuisance to your opponent because of the fact that she comes down and she just spams you just spammed out a whole bunch of tokens. She's restanding tokens. Like you could swing a token, and then if your opponent didn't deal with it, you could then restand it, swing it again. And remember, all the spies are 0/2 that raid 2. So you could even do something like doing like yellow-red with her. Then that way you could do like Manchin Row for 6, and then or 7, I believe Manchin Row is 7. So you could do like Manchin Row out, or you can even, because you're in yellow, you can even do now there are 2 of them. You can do that to bring out Manchin Row cheaper. So that way then you can have Manchin Row, and then all your spies are swinging for raid 4 instead of raid 2 because of Manchin Row's ability to double all raids. And then she can restand tokens. So that is a real interesting thing. I'm thinking about ways to play her. I'm thinking about ways. Is she going to be in the more green or the more yellow? And I mean, a spamming of the ability of spam up a bunch of token bodies that could easily outweigh your opponent. Just look at what Vader did in JTL. JTL with spamming up TIE tokens that became more and more prevalent to your opponent having to deal with it, was saying like bombing runs to deal with it. So I could see a lot more bombing runs inside decks being very prevalent if she becomes prevalent in the meta. But still, I think she's a fun leader. I really thought of some things you could do there with her. I think I probably maybe start with yellow, just so I could see if I can make Manchin Row come out on stupidity. come out very cheap and have all my guys on all my tokens are rating 4, which is pretty fun. Nonetheless, a pretty cool leader. We have an Enforcer Squadron, a set of V-Wings that are in Villainy. It just has a hidden for 5, 3, and 4, which isn't too bad. I get a hidden that's on a 5, 3. It's nothing to scoff at. That's a pretty nice hidden there. We got Mr. Onaka. He's back for more business, everybody. He's back for more business. Anyways, each other friendly unit gauge raid 1, which is even nicer because you could put her in her and then make all of your spy tokens raid 3, and then you go Munch and Row. Like I've said, you have thing, and then all your spies are raid 6, which is pretty nasty. He does have plot as well, so technically you could bring out Price and then pay 6 to bring her out, and then all your tokens at that point, including yourself, does get raid 1. So pretty cool card. Not gonna scoff at that one. I like this Hondo. I think that's a very interesting thing, especially for like he's Underworld tagged. So I do expect to see this in some CAD. Maybe some people play around this with CAD Target Town, because now all your units are gaining another raid attached to it, as well as some decks might even decide to start playing Munch and Row in their decks. So I'm not sure if they'll change much with like that, but still a neat card to play. I'm not going to scoff at that one. He's here for the business, everybody. He's here for the business. Then we have the Galleon. When played, you may disclose 2 aggression and 1 ability. If you do, create 3 spy tokens. I mean, a couple of cards here we've seen that really feel like they're just made for price. This feels like it's made for price so that you can just spam type more tokens so that her ability goes off. Hondo feels like something for price. It does feel like CAD as well. So pretty neat card. There, and it is a space unit, by the way, so it's a space at 6/6, which is pretty nice. That just creates 3 spy tokens as long as you disclose 2 aggression and 1 villainy. So pretty cool. Tempest Assault. If you've dealt damage to an enemy base this phase, they'll do damage to an enemy space unit. That's an interesting thing here. It's really kind of like a hit back card, like the ability, like, oh, I dealt damage to your base. I'm now going to be able to do 2 damage to each. Oh, it does to each enemy space unit. So this is kind of a Vader tech. So if you are someone that's in red aggression villainy, and you're playing against, say, Vader JTL, this is a really good card to like tech against it. And in my opinion, that would be a side tech card. I think a lot more people would probably maybe play bombing run to deal with more ships. But still, I mean, just good way to get rid of a bunch of TIE fighters in the sky. It's just a good way to deal with space. Again, it's very, very much potent on the fact if whether or not space becomes as prominent as, you know, we're seeing with 2 cards that are basically straight up space hate. But still, I'm not going to lie on this one. I mean, you just need to damage your opponent's base, and they do 2 damage to each enemy space unit for a 4-drop red and villainy that can go into any red villainy strategy and basically deal with like Vader or maybe Luke Skywalker or even Han Solo, any deck that just spams space bodies. So all the JTL leaders could be hit by this as well. But again, this only really matters if it's going to be put in main decks, if JTL leaders become prevalent in the meta. Again, a lot of these cards are dependent on the prevalence of the meta. A lot of them are neat to play, but even then, even if I said to go to my locals, I may not play them in my locals. There may be just side deck tech cards that I might use. So a lot of cards that look neat are going to be played only in main decks if the meta is so prevalent that you have to play this in the main deck, or becomes a side deck strategy just in case, you know, those type of decks do pop up. Then we have Ambition's Reward. When played, create a spy token for a 1/1 buff 2. So just a nice way to make more spies if you need them. We have Unauthorized Investigation. You just create a spy token, and you may disclose an aggression card if you do create a spy token. We're just kind of seeing more cards that kind of maybe run around Governor Price just so that you can create more spy tokens. We got Grand Admiral Thrawn as a unit. I think this is his first unit card. I know he's in 2 leaders, Spark Rebellion and JTL. But I think this is the first time we're seeing him as a ground unit. And a pretty tough ground unit to remove as well. So he's a 7 cost for 7/8. That automatically feels like he's going to go into like a Thrawn JTL yellow deck strategy, JTL deck strategy, or heck, even some people might go back to Thrawn Spark Rebellion and play him. When played, an opponent may choose a non-leader unit they control. If they do, this unit captures that unit. If they don't, ready this unit. So you play him at 7. You target a spacecraft or something that is active. Your opponent either gives you that unit, or he just stands up and swings at your opponent bait for 8 damage. So depending on where your opponent is, that 8 damage may be lethal to them, or may be just the end of it. Or it's not lethal, but again, it's a really good way to put in that mind game of, I'm at 7 now, I'm going to drop Thrawn, and then drop Thrawn on the board. I either take control of your thing, or I basically get to restand and swing at you for 8. And then he has a when defeated ability, which again is really nice for the JTL Thrawn to double tap him. When defeated, a friendly unit catches an enemy non-leader unit in the same arena. So basically, if you have your opponent has 2 ground units that are non-leaders, you can basically double tap the Thrawn from JTL and then just capture 2 units right off the board and put them under 1 unit, which is pretty nice. So overall, a really cool Thrawn, a really, really cool Thrawn. I like this when played to, again, being a master tactician himself, a schemer. I do like this effect 100%. The ability just to play that mind game of your opponent. Well, I'm just going to throw this down. If you don't let me capture the thing, I kill you. Because let's say you're trying to go for the game at that point. They don't have any way to stop you or anything like that. Or you let me capture your thing, and then you have to have a response back to me to try to end me, which is pretty neat. And again, in a Thrawn like JTL yellow control strategy, that might be enough to just make your opponent just like end out. Just maybe even have to like just let you capture the unit. Because again, in a control strategy, you may have punched your opponent or stripped them of a lot of resources. So it's really, really neat. Now again, your opponent does need to have a unit on the board so that you can trigger this effect, because you do need to resolve it. If when played, your opponent doesn't have anything to point at, you can't resolve it because physically Thrawn doesn't have anything to point at or attempt to try to capture. So just do be mindful of that. But still, nice card. That's a good legendary right there. Again, a lot of legendaries we've seen, some of them I said like they're going to drop immediately in price the second they get dropped into the format. I think this one and that Unity, the figure of Unity, I feel like are going to be a couple that will see a good price hike right there because of the fact that they, I think, are very much playable. Now, I think the figure of Unity is probably not going to see a high price strike, but this one, I think this one will see a lot of for yellow. I think a lot of cunning ability decks are going to be playing this one. We got Arrest, your base. Not in a unit, your base. There is no way to save it. Your base captures an enemy non-leader unit at the start of your regroup phase. Your owner rescues it. So this is more of just a like, I'm just going to take something from your board, put it under my base, and now you deal with it for a turn. Which kind of turns into like, oh, I know my opponent can kill me with this. I'm just going to take this, slop it under for a turn, and figure out how to kill it next turn. Or maybe I have the win, but I just need to, my opponent only has a unit. They know they can kill me. I claim initiative. I go arrest, take that unit, put it under my base, and then I'm just kind of done with it. So, yeah, I like it. It's really dumb. It's really fun. And I think it does play with that game of controlling your opponent's board state until you can find a way to win the game out. Or if you know you have the win, but you know your opponent has it before you do, using this to then take something to win the game, which is pretty nice. I think that's a great way to help push out wins and help to get those wins where you know you just need this turn to be on your side, and your opponent automatically gets it with a unit. You've claimed, you just go arrest, take what you know will kill you, and your opponent doesn't have any response to it. So there is that. So very interesting nonetheless. I do like that we're seeing a lot of capture. I haven't seen a lot of like anti-capture, like cards that like remove captured cards off of your opponent's stuff. That does mean we're maybe seeing a resurgent of cards like Daring Escape, the 1-drop or 1 or 2-drop blue card from Shadow of the Galaxy that states that you can rescue a card captured by one of your opponent's cards. We haven't really seen much that like saves cards from being captured or saves the cards that are captured and all that, which is pretty interesting that we haven't seen those yet, but we've seen a lot of capture cards. So I like that we're getting the capture mechanic back. I think there's a lot of playability in having the capture mechanic because it turns it into a lot of mind games of capturing your opponent's stuff and then your opponent having the force to go after your units so that they can keep their get back their capture cards, which is pretty nice. Lando Calrissian, we got another legendary. Man, we're just swimming in legendaries over here. When played, Grit. So he's a 6/8, 7 cost with Grit, which is nice. When played, especially because of it and being an 8, which means that if he's already got 4 damage, he's already dealing 10 damage back. When played, you may choose an enemy unit and another friendly non-leader unit. If you do, heal 6 damage from your base, and the enemy unit captures the friendly unit. So basically, it's more or less the aspect of, if you've seen Empire Strikes Back, this is when Lando approaches Han, and we know that he's working for the Empire because the Empire already showed up first. So he's kind of that way of like, trust me, I'm on your side, not the Empire side. Best bid is neutral in the war. So yeah, it kind of does feel like a very interesting card just to like sustain out damage. And then because he's already a 6/8 with Grit, you could then swing in. You could target a little guy, give one of your little guys to that little guy, have him swing next turn, kill off the little guy, take so that you get the Grit damage, and then do that. It's also nice because it is just mono blue, so you can play it in Asajj Ventress from JTL, the leader that says tap it, deal 1 damage to one of your units, and then deal 1 damage to one of your enemy unit in that same arena. So you can ping him for 1 and ping your opponent's unit for 1. And then let's just say that unit only has like 1 health point left, kill it off, and then just get back your capture card, and you've already got the Grit damage going on you as well. So I think there's some nice playability with him. Do I think he's going to be like a big legendary people are hunting? Probably not. But still, he's a very neat legendary for what he can do. Because like I said, being able to say, you have a very wounded unit and your opponent has a wounded unit, just like having your opponent capture your wounded unit so that you can get it back at full health and get it back at full health, and then just kill off your opponent's wounded unit and then just get back your unit back at full health, which is very interesting to do. And not mentioning, like I said, you get 6 health back on your base, which should not be scoffed. Sometimes you just need that 6 health points to survive an attack, survive a turn. Well, Alexander Callis is officially here, and he is a Spectre. We got another new Spectre. Of course, we got Chopper, but now we have, of course, Alexander Callis, the traitor of the Empire, is here for everyone. I forget what his call sign is in the Rebels show. While you have the initiative, each other friendly unique unit gains raid 2, which again, really nice to go into Hera because of the fact of, well, everything's unique in Hera. You're playing all of the Spectres. You're playing them all. So means if you have the initiative that turn, all your Spectres, the ghosts, the Phantom, all the Spectre units, all can get raid 2 for that turn. And then if you got enough on the board, that's a lot of guys swinging in for a raid 2 on their body, which is pretty nice. I mean, he is a 7 cost, so he is a little expensive, but again, it is nice for any other deck if you need to for the raid 2. I feel like he's probably going to be played more in Hera, but still, I should not scoff the fact that he is in Heroic. He can give any unique unit raid 2, so a lot of strategies could use him for that. And then we play deal 2 damage to up to 3 ground units. Really nice to just like, when played, deal 2 damage to 3 ground units, which is really good to ping off some stuff from your opponent's base and all of that. Your opponent's field and just like clean it up, which is pretty nice. So, really cool card. Glad the Spectre's got a couple of new cards to go with Hera, and this probably could get splashed in any red heroic strategy. Poe Dameron, Luke Skywalker, anything like that's probably going to splash this in their decks because of that playability of them. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if decks like Han Solo, JTL play him as well. Next up, we got a feed security. When played, if your opponent controls an upgrade, give an experience token to this unit. That's about it. Still, even if you don't get that, if you don't get the experience token to a unit, you can still have that 2/3 2-drop. It's still nothing to scoff at. That's a good just for turn 1 drop on a 2/3. The emissaries as Stealthipede. What as 2 for 2/4, just a generic cunning is really nice. When defeated, each opponent may ready a resource, which is pretty nice. I mean, yeah, it sucks if your opponent's got to ready the resource here and then you get to it, but there is a chance where your opponent may want that resource up and standing. They may just go after the ship and kill it, and that gives you a standing resource as well. This is already pretty bad for the extended format or expanded format, or the legacy format, whatever the heck Fantasy Flight Games called their extended format, because this automatically could go into Boba Fett and make the Boba Fett even worse, which is why I think a lot of people are really much off of really wanting to play the Legacy format. We may try it, not exactly sure. We may try it and see how bad it is, but again, we'll have to kind of see, because I think Fantasy Flight Games wants to do tournaments and wants to do big events with the Legacy format, and if it becomes a problem, then yeah, they'll just have to fix it. They'll have to wait till those cards are power crept out, and those may take multiple sets to do so. They may turn into like the 7 card, like Magic has their 7 banned cards, the most powerful cards in all of Magic that can never ever come off. You have Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that can never come off the ban list because they will automatically break any single deck in the game. So we'll just kind of have to see. Maybe that's what like Boba Fett it has to become. It has to be one of those cards that goes down in Legend where it's only good for Twin Sun. Because again, Twin Sun's a pod style gameplay and is already 80 cards, one of. So even if you had Boba Fett, it's not going to be like the best deck. Still, so a neat card nonetheless. It's got that mind game on it. The fact that I may want to have that resource upstanding so I could do something with it. And my opponent, and then I have to give my opponent that standing resource as well, which means they may be able to do something with it. So there is that interesting mind game you could do with it, especially with a lot of leaders that need one resource to start going off on things. There is that mind game there of, do you give your opponent, knowing that they have their leader just needs one resource to do something on their side of the board, do you just give them that? So really cool. I like it. I think it's got some interesting mind game mechanics into it of, do you kill it, or does your opponent decide to, or does like you, the player, decide to kill it, or does your opponent decide to kill it? So interesting. Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million. So 1 in a million. Yeah, we definitely are just taking every single quote out of Star Wars. Sooner or later, we'll be able to build an entire Star Wars deck based on quotes from every single movie. 1 in a million. This one is a very interesting one. This card can't be played from your hand. So it is literally the most restrictive card in the game right now that you have to plot out. It has to come out via plot. That is all it gets to come out. So, and then, like I said, it's a 1 in a million. Remember, Luke fires the proton torpedoes. He uses the force to push them into the trench, pulls his X-Wing up, and then we see the Death Star explode with him and Wedge. And I can't remember. Who the heck is the Y-Wing? Who the heck is the Y-Wing? I thought all the Y-Wings died at the Death Star. I thought all of Gold Squadron died at the Death Star. You can answer that down in the comments. I should know it. I thought it maybe would be Nora Wexley, but I don't think she was at that time. I know she appears in The Empire Strikes in the last Return of the Jedi. Nora Wexley is there at the Battle of Endor. Is it Nora Wexley? I don't know. I thought all of Gold Squadron from the original from Episode 4 all died in the trench run. So. Besides the fact of talking to Star Wars, if you guys all know who the Y-Wing pilot was, please let me know down in the comments. Defeat a enemy. So this is how this works. It plots, so you have to do it specifically with the plot mechanic. Defeat a unit with power and remaining HP, both equal to the number of ready resources you control. So basically, you have to have 5. So if you want to kill a 5/5, they have to be a 5/5. Had no damage on them, so they can't have any damage points on them. They cannot be a grit leader. They can't be anything. They have to be a 5/5, a 6/6, a 7/7, an 8/8, or say, for instance, a 2/3 that has 1 damage point on it. And then you have to have that many resources. So basically, when you flip, most leaders flip at 6. The most you can kill with this is if a unit is a 6 cost unit that has the same HP and health left. So if it's let's say a 6 cost unit with that is 4/6, you would have to kill. The only way you could kill with 1 in a million is if that unit had 2 health points already taken on. So at that point, it'd be a 4/4 at 6 cost. Now again, it's not restrictive. It can kill leaders, but holy crap. Is this the most intensive card? The most restrictive card in all of Star Wars Unlimited. And I get it. It's got the pun. It's a 1 in a million. It's a gambit. It's a 1 in a million card. It's referencing the 1 in a million shot on Death Star by Luke Skywalker. But man, is it the most restrictive card I have ever seen Star Wars Unlimited print. This card is restrictive on when and how you use it. I don't know if any deck's going to play it. It'd be really cool to see it go off. Because again, if you swing an opponent's leader that comes out on 6, and you come out on 6 as well, you plot it out for 1. And then as long as that leader has 2 damage points already on him, because most leaders are not the same in power and toughness. So yeah, it's a 1 in a million, everybody. Let's just say that. It's a neat, interesting card. I like what they're drawing up with it. It's a neat way for how Star Wars Unlimited can be played. But is it good? No. Is it just going to be the greatest gimmick if it ever can go off? Yes. Would your opponent be laughing if suddenly their leader with 2 damage points gets 1 in a million off the board? Yeah, it would be hilarious. It'd be absolutely hilarious if your opponent got hit with a 1 in a million. It's going to be 1 in a million for sure, because the second you see it, at least one thing about it, it's good as just fodder to immediately put into your resources, because that's all it's going to be good for. You can't play it out of your hand. It's immediately just got to go straight to the resources. So, means that at best, you may play 3 copies, or heck, maybe you just play 1 and hope to draw into it and resource it. I don't know. Like I said, it's a neat card, but is it good? That is the debate of the day, is if people are really going to play this. As for me, not really. Or if I do get to happen to be that weird person, I'm just going to play it in my Vigilance Heroic decks, and just maybe I get lucky and I'm able to do 1 in a million. Yeah, that'd be fun. Next up, we have a Defense Fleet X-Wing, just a 1/4 Sentinel in space. Again, not bad, especially if you need to defend yourself from the space hate decks. Or defend yourself from especially space heavy decks. Then we have Dryan Voss. He's a 4/5 legendary. On attack, you may double this unit's power for this attack. If you do, this unit doesn't ready during the next regroup phase. So there are some things I think that can happen with this. You could throw some bunch of upgrades onto him, because it doesn't say you may double this unit's original power. So it's not his original power, his original power. So if you throw a bunch of upgrades onto him, like Fallen Lightsaber, Constructed Lightsaber, anything like that, it's ways that can power him up, and then you just swing him in and then double that original power. So let's say you got him up to say 5, you could double him to 10. Maybe you got him up to 8, you can double him to 16. I think this guy has some potential. As a base static card, I'm not going to swing for 4 damage and then just let him sit there. I think this card specifically has to be upgraded. I think you need upgrades on him. I think you need to put a bunch of upgrades on him, and then you just trigger his ability on the swing to double his power and then swing for big damage. Now again, I'm not sure how it's all going to work, all of that, but still, I think there is an aspect where I think you need this guy to be upgraded. At a base cost of 2/5 that could only really double himself to be a 4, that's not enough. So I think this guy is definitely going to be one in a red villainy deck that really wants to play like upgrades, people, upgrades. Yeah, he's definitely going to feel like that, where you're definitely going to play a lot of upgrades on him. So, really, really cool card. I like what he can do as a card. I like that he does have that drawback that you can't just immediately withstand him, which makes sense, because every turn, if he didn't have that, every turn I could technically make him a 4 hitting guy, and he is extremely cheap at 4. But again, I think you need to have upgrades onto him. He needs to get upgrades so that you can make him big and then turn him into like this unit that your opponent has to go after to try to deal with. Otherwise, I double a big guy and swing for a bunch of damage. So I think there is that concept where I don't know how good he'll be. He may be one of those legendaries that will fall in price, because I don't think a lot of decks will really want to use him. But I think there is some strong playability with him of giving him a bunch of upgrades onto him, making your opponent have to upgrade hate this guy. Otherwise, I swing with, let's say, 8 damage naturally. Then I just double, and I'm now at 16, which is pretty nice. So overall, a pretty cool card. I like what we're getting. I like some of the stuff we're getting written up for the game. Some really cool changes to it all and all that. But still, really, really neat. Next up, we got Academy Discipline, a 3-cost 3-4, which is pretty nice. Again, as a reminder, if you're someone new that's just joining Star Wars Unlimited, and let's say you're looking at cards back in set 1, 2, and 3 that feel like they're very, very squishy and they don't last very long in the game, that's because they actually changed a lot of mechanics on power and toughness for a lot of decks. So a 3 cost is now 3-4, and that's still good, in my opinion. That's still very good. When play, you may deal 1 damage to a friendly unit, cost 2 or less, and ready it. Or with 2 or less power and ready it. Again, a really cool card right now, kind of for the Grand Inquisitor. Again, there's a couple cards here. We'll talk about one of them being a KOTAR card for the Grand Inquisitor, but another really good card for like the Grand Inquisitor. If you have like a guy with 2 or less power, then you could just restand him with the Grand Inquisitor. Then you do have to be cautious. That does mean we have damage, but he's also really good for any grit strategies. Like what I was talking about with 𝐒𝐓𝐃 from JTL. He's really good for that as well, because you can win played, you may deal 1 damage to a unit, 2 or less power, and ready it. If that unit doesn't have grit just yet, you can then give it grit, and then you can go 𝐒𝐓𝐃, deal another damage to it, have another guy get more grit onto him. So there's always that stuff as well. But again, pretty neat. I think he's got some playability. There's some very interesting things where we have a lot of characters that have 2 or less power that are at like 3 health points. So being able to restand them, so attack, play him, or restand that one. Heck, if you play him in Grand Inquisitor, he is under that power threshold for Grand Inquisitor as well. So the Grand Inquisitor could actually then deal him 2 damage and then restand him as well. So, and then you get another attack after that one as well. So just some things to think about in the back of your mind on all that. We got a Lone Shark with a 4 cost, 2/5 with ambush and raid 1. So technically he will ambush at 3 damage points. Still pretty cool. We got the Covert Operative. 2/4 for 4 cost. When played, this enemy unit captures an enemy non-leader unit that costs 2 or less. Again, what we've seen before, a lot of the capture mechanic and all that. So, not a bad card overall. Again, it only costs 2 or less, so by the time he's usually played out, he probably is not going to see a lot of play. He may see some play in draft formats, but in constructed, I don't see him getting a lot of play because of by the time he's coming out in 4, most decks have started playing 3 to 4 cost characters, and most 2 cost characters are kind of dead. But still, I'm not going to ever scoff the fact that you can at least capture stuff and force your opponent to have to come after this unit to kill it. Bail Organa, he got a leader as well. So not only did we get Mon Mothma, we got Bail Organa here. And he is one of those leaders. He is the second leader we've had in the game now that does not have an epic action. This leader does not have an epic action. So we know one already, which is Trench. Trench states on him, when you're at 6 or more resources, you can pay 3, bring him out, you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, your opponent chooses 2 of those, discards them, you look at the other 2, you can draw, get 1 to your hand, put the other into your trash. So basically, you're milling 4 and getting 1 card. So that's all you're getting. So we have yet another leader, and he's a rare leader. Trench, I believe, was a rare leader as well, that does not have an epic action. So we've only got 2 of these leaders, and they're both in rotation as well, as Trench was a JTL leader. Action, pay 1, tap him. If a friendly unit is defeated this phase, return a friendly resource to his hand. If you do, put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. So basically, he's doing kind of what we saw with Hunter Force Blue. If you see my videos of my locals, I have a player that plays Hunter Force Blue, where Hunter Force Blue, Hunter states tap and pay him. You can take a card from your resources, and then that share the exact same name, like Luke Skywalker, and add it to your hand, and then put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. He does the exact same thing where you can resource those high cost cards in your hand and put them down, or maybe you want to resource that a plot card, because he definitely will have the ability to manipulate the plot the best right now alongside Trench, even though I'm really not sold on a lot of plot cards right now. There are some that are good, there are some that I just don't think are going to see any play at all, but still, nonetheless. And I mean, say for instance you got a hand and you had to put a Yoda, like a Yoda from the Force Yoda, or maybe a Luke Skywalker, like Jedi Knight, in your resources. Well, then you can use Bail Organa, as long as something was killed that turn, to get something back to your hand. And then basically, then you can go look at your resources, grab that thing back, and then put the top card of your deck. So it does recycle your resources. It does allow for some very interesting plays. And then his action to come out on the board is tap him, discard 2 cards from your hand. If you control 4 or more resources, you deploy him. So very interesting. So again, he does not have an epic action. He is an action as long as you are at 4 or more resources. So when you play a card from your resources, you heal 1 damage from your base. So he's definitely going to want to be playing plot. That is his thing. He 100% is going to have to play everything with plot. So it does really come down to the fact of, as long as you continue to get more plot cards into your hand, you want to then play those plot cards into your resources. So you can only play 1, but you want to continue to get more plot cards, so you constantly can heal off that 1 damage and stuff like that. So he has some playability, some interesting playability. Is he good? I don't know. Trench really right now is on like control. I don't know what he will be. Because again, he's in heroic, command heroic. I don't know. Like, I could see him as playing double green and then getting into like Chancellor Valorum, so that then you can just start throwing more cards into your resources, so that way you can still constantly get more guys back to your hand that aren't plot cards and stuff like that, which is pretty neat. Again, he has a great chance to use all the smuggle cards, because again, it's whenever you play a card for your resources, which means you have the ability to use all the smuggle mechanics, especially because he's in green. You have timely intervention, which means you do get to heal 1 damage from your base by using timely intervention. So it's very interesting. If you play him in red, you get Cassian Andor, which wants to come out of your resources because he gets to come out readied. So yeah, there's some very interesting stuff you can do with Bail Organa. Very interesting stuff with him. So we're just going to have to see. I think I have some ideas of how I want to play him. I think he's just a common leader as well. No, he's a rare leader. But again, I think there's one drawback. I mean, both of our epic action leaders that don't have epic action that can resurrect themselves do have some pretty steep drawbacks. Trench mills you 4 cards deep and you lose 4. You technically are losing 2 of the best cards first, and then your opponent's giving you 2 of the booty cards that they think, and then you have to take 1 of the booty cards and lose the other. So technically, Trench digs you 4 deeper to a grave, and technically, Bail Organa digs you 2 cards out of your hand. So you do need to be cautious of that he does have the ability to kill you via no hand ability. So there is just that aspect there as well, that he's very restrictive on that hand. So he may have to play with some cards that draw him extra cards and stuff. But still, I think there's nothing wrong with that ability. I think it's a very interesting one. There's some like things maybe I can play around with. Maybe people will play around to make him work. But again, the problem that he enters is your hand. You have to discard 2 to get him out per turn. And I mean, he immediately comes out on 4. So that's pretty nice. I mean, he comes out on 4. He doesn't have to pay any resources to come himself out like Trench. So you can then plot out a 4-drop card and all that, which is pretty interesting. But still, I think he's cool, but I don't know. I feel his drawback is going to be his hard drawback. If even to me playing him, it's going to be that you have to lose 2 cards out of your hand to get him out. So I'm not just sold just yet on him, but maybe I'll figure something out to do with him. I think he's a neat leader, and I'm glad we're seeing another leader that doesn't have an epic action, that we're getting more of. We're seeing some continuation to leaders and stuff like that we've had before, like what Trench did in JTL without an epic action. We're now seeing in Bail Organa. All right, moving on. We have the Druselian Commandos, just ambush for 5/5 and has plot, which again can come off of Mr. Organa so that you can play it. Pretty neat. Then we have the Crucible. When defeated, by the way, it does have the Jedi tag. So if you ever need to worry about a Jedi tag, it is on this ship. When defeated, give an experience token to each other friendly unit, which is pretty nice. I mean, just play it out on 6 and give a lot of things experience isn't too bad. And it is when defeated, so being a 5/5 that could swing over some stuff to then give some power is pretty cool as well. We have Restore Freedom. All wings reporting. Of course, again, they're all coming off the Boo. One of the most iconic scenes when you see all the X-Wings and Y-Wings about to attack the Death Star. But then it's like all the facts like then doesn't feel that many attacking the Death Star when you realize it. All the attacks when you realize, wow, there's a lot of fighters on that planet, and then you realize most of them die. Most of them are like gone pretty quickly. I mean, like wait, where's the Jack Porkins card? Why don't we have a Jack Porkins pilot where you can do? I can Jack pull up. I can hold it. Pull up. I can. We don't have a Jack Porkins pilot. I'm just realizing it. I'm realizing we don't have a Jack Porkins pilot. Where is he at? We got a Biggs Darklight. We got a Wedge Antilles. Well, he was a leader, but nonetheless, we did get a Wedge pilot. So technically, we got that, but we don't have a Jack Porkins. Anyways, restore freedom. You may play a unit for your hand. It costs 1 less for each a heroic aspect icon among your friendly units. A really cool card. Not gonna lie, that one. That's actually a pretty cool card. Because it allows you to reduce the cost of a lot of stuff. Really kind of actually interesting to kind of play in Yoda. You could even probably play this in a lot of decks and help the Ebon Hawk come down in cost. Because again, the Ebon Hawk already is green heroic, costs you 9 to bring out. But with this, you could even reduce it even more. Because typically the only other way to do it was You're My Only Hope, which can reduce the cost of cards on the top of your deck, which is why Yoda from Twilight Republic is the best deck to play it because it can manipulate the top card of your deck. But still, this isn't too bad either, because then you could bring this out, use this, bring out the Ebon Hawk, and then the Ebon Hawk's ability states that all your cards in your hand cost half the resources they do. So you could even start playing like villainy cards because you already technically half the cost of them. So, really cool. An interesting card indeed. A very interesting card. It's really going to want you to play a lot of heroic units. I can see a lot of JTL decks playing this because of the fact is like Poe, like Luke, like Han that spam bodies into the sky can automatically play this to then do stuff with it. Well, folks, we got our first mono double colored leader. Now, again, I review these cards a lot of times and figure out when exactly I want to do these videos. I thought this guy was heroic for some strange reason. No, he is monocolored. He is the first double monocolored leader we got in the game. Because again, DJ in the movie, that really bad one, number 9, technically does play for both sides of the game. Like he says, it's whoever really offers him the best money. So it makes sense why he's not a villain, and it makes sense why he's not a heroic, and at least he's not monocolored like Anakin and Revan were in LOF. So it's our first double colored card. So he's monocolored with double. So it's very interesting, meaning that there's a lot of interesting things you could do with this base. This means that Cunning, funny enough, the Sparkle Rebellion Cunning, that is a 4-drop that is double Cunning, actually could just be played in this deck without having to worry about running another Cunning base, which is kind of interesting. So he's going to play very interesting with bases because he's already double Cunning, which means that he actually can play the Sparkle Rebellion Cunning card the best out of any strategy because you never have to pay the aspect penalty like other decks will. So if this is really the start of seeing double colored leaders, I really like that. I like that we're seeing double colored leaders now. I think that has a lot of playability in the future to see more double colored leaders that don't run aspects of heroic or villainy, and really makes deck building more interesting because now that he's double colored and he doesn't have a heroic tag nor a villainy tag, does that mean we are going to get heroic bases or villainy bases? Now that really opens up that question indeed, because if that is the case, do we now have restrictions on those type of bases where they can only be run with heroic leaders or with villainy leaders, or restrictions of that this can only be run with a heroic leader like a villainy base, and then a heroic base can only be run with a villainy leader, which now opens you up to the world of, well, now I can run heroic units and cards in my villainy strategy, which again, I would think would be really, while it's not thematic to Star Wars, it's thematic for deck building. And again, I think DJ opens up a lot for deck building. But again, enough about deck building. Let's talk DJ. Action, tap him, choose a friendly unit. If you do, play a unit that from your hand, it costs 1 less. That unit captures it. At 6 or more, he can flip himself over for his epic action. Friendly unit that are rescued or interplayed ready. So what are my thoughts? I have no idea what this card's supposed to do. Again, we have not seen any cards right now that rescue. The only rescuing cards I know of are from set 1 or from set 2, and that is it. We have not seen anything that rescues. While his front side effect is really neat because then you can just stack a bunch of guys cheaply under one dude, and then funny enough, then just stack a bunch of guys cheaply under one dude as long as he survives, then awaken DJ, then swing the guy that's been holding all your rescue units into your opponent's, into something that kills it, and then you just rescue all your guys out, and then they all just come out rescued, readied. So let's say you have 4 guys that you've been reducing the cost of cheaply, and then they're all coming out cheap, being put under one of your own units. Your unit finally goes and dies once DJ is awakened. And then, well, bada boom, bada bang, they're all now just, you killed it, and then all your guys come out rescued. It's also nice because it does mean that if you rescue your own guys from your stuff, it does mean they get to come out active as well. But I already see kind of a lot of people just like trying to protect some kind of like unit that then just rescues a bunch. Even if you don't do that, being able to say you have 4 resources, using the ability to play at a 5 cost, put him under a guy, and then swinging that little guy over onto something else, letting it die or killing something or damaging another unit, and then bringing out your guy for basically 1 quicker is pretty nice. But we'll have to see how he builds out. I like the fact that we are finally seeing double color leaders. And we're going to see what people really build out with DJ, because I think he's interesting for what he can do. I'm not sold just yet as a leader, but I do think there's some really interesting manipulation you can do with him, especially if you can stack enough guys under one unit and then say kill said unit when DJ is flipped, and then just stack a bunch of guys that you have been playing under one of your own things that aren't technically upgrades. Because again, captured cards aren't upgrades. They are technically just being captured by the unit. So technically, if you can stack enough guys under one unit, flip DJ, and then that unit goes and dies, then you can say you have 4 guys under it. You now have 4 guys out onto the battlefield, all active, that can now just punch your opponent in the face. So I think there's some interesting things you could do with DJ. Very interesting things you could do with DJ for sure. It's going to also be very interesting exactly what he wants to play with, because he does not have so you're not going to be playing any heroic tags, and you're definitely not going to be playing any villainy tags, because that will have to cost you the penalty onto it. But again, I don't think that would be too bad, because again, DJ's already reducing the cost to capture the guys. So we'll kind of have to see, because again, he was not on either side of the war. He technically said it. He plays for the money. Whoever can buy him out. We just got a base here. By the way, we don't have any idea what the rare bases are just yet, but here's we're going back to mono 30 health bases again. Let's talk Legends cards. And again, like I said, KOTAR 2 got all the Legend cards this time. KOTAR 1 was LOF. KOTAR 2 is Secrets of Power. And I wasn't even sure what Legends they were going to bring into this set, like at all. Secrets of Power felt like politics and all of that. I was not expecting KOTAR 2 would be in this set. We have a vanilla 2/4/2 Tyrus Acolyte. And then we have remember, there were 3 evil, like, Council Jedi, Sith in the KOTAR 2 that you had to fight as your playable character. I forget the name of. We have Darth Sion. This guy was, I believe his lore is that he can't die, even though he dies in the game. He's a 5/5/5. Hey, look, everybody. You ever feel like doing a 1 in a million? That states when played, give an experience token to this unit for each enemy unit that was defeated this phase. So basically, if you've killed a couple things before you played him, he can come out with at least maybe 1 experience token. But here's where it gets interesting. When defeated, if this unit has 7 or more power, return him to its owner's hand. This guy physically cannot die. So physically, he can constantly come out, get some power if you swung into things, which means that your strategy with him, it may be just like punching a bunch of your little guys into your opponent, and then you bring him out and do that. The funny part is, though, he might be really good for a blue version of Revan, because of Revan's nature of wanting to punch stuff, which means that he can get played. If you technically killed something, he gets an experience token, and then Revan technically could give him another experience token. If he kills something, and then that puts him at that 7 power threshold, which then means that if he dies, you can then get him back to your hand, which means Revan can pump him back up again. We'll talk about it, but unfortunately, one of the Sith that leads you around in the game, who is your mentor from KOTAR 2, that you don't know is a Sith, technically is in yellow. So technically you can't play all of the Sith from KOTOR 2 in the exact same deck. But nonetheless, it's a really cool card. It is a legendary. All the KOTOR enemy Sith are legendaries, by the way. They are all going to be probably very much wanted. Because this card is really good. I'm not going to lie, especially for Revan. Because Revan can pump this up. And then because the fact is you can just swing over a bunch of your opponent's stuff. And even if they kill it, and as long as you have the 7 power, back to my hand I go to come out again. So yeah, pretty neat card. Really, really interesting one. Really, really like it. Really like it indeed. We have Exile from the Force. Attached unit gains the Force trait and all ability. Attached loses the Force and all abilities except for Grit, and just gains Grit. Which again, really good. You can throw it on their Darth Scion and then make him your Grit guy. Again, it's only 1 cost, and even if you're just playing mono blue like Revan, it doesn't really matter. It's a 3 cost upgrade that can go under Darth Scion, and he can punch stuff and start getting Grit. And because then he's got Grit on him, he has that 7 or more power, which means, again, your opponent now has to fear the fact that you have this guy coming back to your hand once again. So, pretty cool. We have a Lost Jedi with 2 costs, 1, 3 with Grit. Nothing really much to talk about there. We have a Disciples Devotion. While this unit is exhausted, it gains Sentinel, which is pretty nice. Again, a great way, 1/3 to gain Sentinel. I could see me putting this under the Kylo from LOF. Yeah, it sounds really dumb because Kylo already has Sentinel naturally on his Awakened side. But again, that +3 health shouldn't be scoffed at, even for Kylo Ren. From LOF, getting an extra 3 health just to help make sure you're a bigger Sentinel is still pretty nice. So, and still, I mean, putting this under your leader or putting this under a unit is still not bad. I mean, you're still getting yourself Sentinel while exhausted. So it still protects your base from being attacked. We have a Hunting Assassin Droid, another probably thing that will probably be played in Piet Red, without a doubt, because it's another droid here. Unfortunately, it can't be played out via the Invisible Hand. While this unit is damaged, this unit gains Rate 2, which is pretty nice. So, I mean, you just damage it for 1, and it's already swinging for 5 a turn, which is pretty nice. We got Warrior of Clan Ordo. If you like Mandalorian tags, there you go. Mandalorians that are very bad, because for a 2/3/3, you may disclose aggression. If you don't, deal 2 damage to your base. So, you may disclose. This should be you must disclose. Because otherwise, I don't know how much I want to punch my own base in the face for all that. But nonetheless, pretty cool. I mean, it's a nice another Mandalorian tag. It's good for Bo-Katan. It's also good for the Darksaber. If you want to pump up Mandalorians, its only drawback, you got to be very careful to make sure you got a red card in your hand. Otherwise, you're going to be punching your own base in for 2 damage. So, but still, I mean, a 2/3/3, as long as you could keep disclosing a red card, that's nothing to scoff at. That's a nice just body to have right on the board. And a first turn drop as well. We got Republic Urek Starfighter. 2/3 for Grit is not bad at all. I can see a lot of strategies playing this. I could see Luke doing this. I could see Poe doing this. Because again, hatching that pilot to it and having the Grit means that I can punch a couple of things over and then get that extra damage. Heck, it's really good in Asajj Ventress JTL, because you can pump up Asajj can pump it up for 2, and then you can swing for 4 damage in the sky, which is pretty nice. So really cool. Yep, Darth Traya is here, and unfortunately, Traya is the only one that cannot be played together. So we do have Darth Nihilus as well. Nihilus is just mono ability, so he can be played in Revan alongside like a Darth Scions, but unfortunately, Darth Traya can't be played. But nonetheless, it doesn't matter because Darth Traya is going to immediately go into Grand Inquisitor from Spark Rebellion. So she's a 3/2/5 that's on attack. You may ready a non-leader unit. You know what I want to do? I'm going to play her down. I've already swung with something. Play her down. Grand Inquisitor from Spark Rebellion. Tap it. Deal 2 damage to her to restand her. Attack for 2 damage. And then on that same attack, then I restand whatever I attacked with first and attack again. That is real nice. And not mention that Traya can take can be hurt twice via the Grand Inquisitor to restand units, which is really, really cool. I really like this card. I've already thought about immediately the second I can get Darth Traya, she's immediately just going to go into a Grand Inquisitor yellow strategy. I think she's just that good for that strategy. Because Grand Inquisitor of Spark Rebellion, being able to not only restand her and then she restands another unit is really, really strong on the attack. So basically, you can attack, keep her standing, attack again, restand something else, and maybe you have another unit. Heck, even a unit you played that turn that's got hit and that you don't want to use the Grand Inquisitor effect, you can hit her with the damage, restand her, swing, and then restand that hidden guy and then swing. So this is just a lot of stuff you can just do with Dark Treya, and I think that's really just cool. She's a really, really unique leader. Well, I think some other decks may take use of her effect, and not mentioning she's a 3-drop. She's a 3-drop for 2/5 that can just restand anything that's not a leader, which is really, really cool. So, yeah, I mean, I automatically have got my brain gears turning for the Grand Inquisitor from Spark Rebellion using her 100%. That is practically all. Oh, well, we do have a couple more legendaries up here. Oh, that is right now is some of the good legendaries. Some of these legendaries, some of these legendaries the legacy cards are so good. And the legendaries right now we've seen, these two really are good legendary. I have to expect these two to see a good chunk price, a good asking price for both of these on the secondary market. We have the Liberathrin. This is when DJ, Finn, and Rose and BB-8 are flying from the gambling planet. Again, why that needed to be an arc is beyond me. This unit gets +1 for each capture card it's guarding, which means, again, kind of the reason DJ easily plays this without any problems. It's support for what DJ wants to do. When played, choose an enemy unit and a non-leader friendly unit. The enemy unit captures the friendly unit. So basically, most time you can easily play this before. If you don't have anything to capture, it doesn't have to do anything. Because it will that is mandatory to do that effect if you can fulfill it. But nonetheless, it is a pretty cool strategy here, 100%. I mean, here you go. DJ, send a bunch of stuff under this. It captures it. It just gets bigger for each card you captured. And then you just bring out DJ, you go and kill this, or you find a way to remove all the capture cards from it. And then you just bring them all out stacked, ready to go and beat your opponent into the face with them. So, yeah, pretty cool card. It really does facilitate the DJ strategy, 100%. And then we have Kitaro 𝐶𝐍𝐶𝐄. 𝐶𝐍𝐶𝐄. On attack, 3/3/4. On attack, you reveal the top card of your deck. An opponent may pay 1. If you don't, draw that card. This is really, really cool. The fact of the matter is that you can reveal the top card of your deck, and then if your opponent doesn't have any way to pay any resource, you just get to draw that card. But if they have it, they can choose to pay that resource, which means they have 1 less resource to do any of their combos so that you don't draw that card. So let's say you're on 5 resources, you swing, you reveal it. Let's say it's a really good 5-cost card that you need to play your deck, and your opponent doesn't realize you have another copy in your hand, where your opponent can pay 1 to stop you from drawing it. But the problem then becomes, well, hey, did you know, son? I can just play something else to get it. But it also costs them that 1, which means that if they had a 5-cost play they wanted to do that turn, this turns into a mind game. Do they play for that 5-cost play, or do they let you draw the card? Another great card to go with this before rotation, the C-3PO from Spark Rebellion, the specialty card from the Luke Skywalker starter deck that states on attack, when played on attack, name the level of a card, look at the top card of your deck. If it's the exact same level, draw it. This allows you to get into some. This is why a lot of people do it also in Han JTL. They play that 3PO so that you can draw those cards. So basically, you go Han reveal top card of your deck. You then swing with your guy. Either you get the buff or not, and then you go 3PO. You just name whatever the top card of your deck is, and you just draw it to your hand. So, yeah, you could do that. Again, I think this is a really cool card. I don't think this card should be underestimated. The ability to get to see the top card of your deck, add it to your hand, and even combo with the 3PO to then just straight up draw if your opponent decides to pay 1 is really good as well. So it really does put that mind game your opponent. Do they have any plays at 4 resources? Heck, even at because he'll come out on 4. By the way, he's even nasty. He can even be played in the Grand Inquisitor, because the hilarious part is, if you got him out, you can pay the cost to then restand him with the Grand Inquisitor, swing on your opponent's base, flip over the top card of your deck, And because let's say your opponent's burnt out of resources, then just draw 2. Heck, you can go Dark Traya on turn 4. And then if he's just swung normally on turn 4, you go Dark Traya, turn 4, you restand Dark Traya. And then have him swing, reveal the top card of your deck. Your opponent, let's say, pays the 1. Then you can go Dark Traya, pay on the Inquisitor, restand, have Dark Traya swing, have him restand, go again, and then draw yet another card. Or draw that card, or make your opponent pay another 1. So there is some very interesting stuff. I really see a lot of playability with this guy, and heck, and I'm thinking it with the freaking Grand Inquisitor again. So, yeah, really cool card. Not gonna lie, I think it does play into a lot of that mind game for your opponent of do you play that card? Heck, even for like trench, like a trench control strategy, even for me, I would put this into trench control because I can play it, swing my opponent, reveal the top card of my opponent. Since they know I'm already playing control, they may not want me to get those control cards to my hand, so they will probably have to pay the 1. So I think there's a lot of playability on that aspect that your opponent has to pay 1 to stop you from getting that card. So it does mean that they had to change how they do their plays out because they won't have full access to their full like resources at any one time. So it's really, really cool card indeed. We got the Ebon Hawk. It is here, the iconic ship from KOTOR. Anyways, for 3/3/3, on attack, you may disclose a heroic and/or villainy card. If you disclose a heroic, this unit gets +2 for this attack. If you disclose villainy, the defender gets -4 for this attack, which means it's a really good just card to swing into your stuff, kill things off, and then just like walk away with it. So it's a pretty cool card. We'll have to kind of see how people play it. It may be played more with heroic stuff so that you constantly get the +2, so it becomes a 5-cost character. 5-cost card and then swinging into things, or maybe people play villainy and then you just smash into things. I don't know. It is an interesting card, 100%. It could be played in Reodurant because Reodurant gives a buff while he's on transports, and technically it does have the transport keyword. But Reodurant is a villainy tagged character, so that would mean that you're getting the -4 for this attack, which does mean you'd be swinging at your opponent's units, but still. There are some neat things that the Ebon Hawk can do depending on where you play. And I like that it's got like both sides of the spectrum and you could do both with it. So it can get that +2 to swing on your opponent's base, or maybe you just want -4 so you can swing into one of your opponent's units, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Really cool card. We have Kira's Whispers. Draw 3 cards, then put a card from your hand on top of your deck and another card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Just a good way to recycle cards. It's a 2-drop, draw 3, and then just put 1 on top, 1 on bottom. Again, just a really good way. I mean, I can't scoff at a draw 3 anytime soon. I mean, if your hand is absolutely clogged and you just need some cards, there's no reason that you shouldn't have this in here just to draw 3 and unclog your hand. Put a card on top, put a card on bottom. It's as good as that. We got The Wrong Ride. This one is actually pretty neat. This is the first time we're seeing cards that actually really want to exhaust your enemy's resources. So Wrong Ride, pay 3, we exhaust 2 of our enemy's resources, and then it has plot to do the exact same thing. So I'd see this card having some strong playability and cunning strategies because, again, exhausting your opponent's resources, especially with this guy having already to maybe force exhaustion, is really a good thing. Again, just exhausting your enemy's resources mean they have to start playing around stuff like this. So that's a pretty cool card. I'm gonna lie, that's a really, really neat card that we got here. Definitely gonna see some playability in my opinion. We got the Sith Assassin at 3/2 that's cost 2 that's hidden, which again, really good. And there he is, Darth Nihilus. I was hoping for a Darth Nihilus leader, but I'll take a Darth Nihilus unit. He's probably my favorite villainy character, probably from KOTOR too. Anyways, he drains the essence of the Force and planets and stuff like that. So, really cool. I'm not saying that we're not going to get another one of these like characters like Darth Sion, Darth Traya, and Darth Nihilus not getting a leader. Like, I would expect maybe sooner or later Revan gets a unit in the game. We've gotten units that are based on leaders, like we have like Qui-Gon Jinn when he came out in LOF got not only a leader, but he also got a unit as well. So I would expect that these units, someday these guys do get leaders. It's not impossible for any named character in Star Wars just to get a unit and also get a leader card. So he's a 7/6/6 when played on attack. Deal 3 damage to a unit with the least remaining HP out of their units. This does mean your guys as well, because remember, Nihilus has to consume everything. He has to consume everything for the essence of the Force. If it's a non-vehicle unit, give an experience token to this unit. So this thing can get out of hand very quick because of the fact that you can deal 3 damage to a guy with the least remaining HP. He is a legendary, so I think this guy is going to see some strong playability. I don't know. I thought Malik would have some strong playability, but I think this guy has more generic playability and villainy strategies because he's just so generic. And as long as you're targeting non-vehicle units, this guy can get buffs all over the place. He just kills something, gets buffs. I mean, it's a win played on attack. I mean, he's a 6/6 on attack that can, when he's played, he becomes a 7/7 because as long as you do it to your opponent, heck, you can even do it to your own thing. Who cares if you got grit strategies are running around? Who cares if you do 3 damage to a grit unit? Congratulations, my grit is just bigger now. So yeah, really cool card. I think this guy's gonna see probably some strong want on the market. He may have even more strong mark on the market if he actually becomes very playable in the meta. And in my opinion, I don't know. KOTOR didn't really become very playable in the meta. But I do see like all 3 of these guys maybe having more playability in the meta than like the KOTOR cards we got from LOF being played in the meta. But nonetheless, cool card. Cool card indeed. Love this card. Anyways, we got Nalase. We have the other comedian who spoke with Obi-Wan when he first arrived at Kamino. Lama Su! Again, they both are villainy, by the way. The comedians are not good people. Action. You may play an upgrade from your hand on a friendly non-vehicle unit. It costs 1 less if you deal 1 damage to that unit. Okay? So basically, his whole thing is upgrade hate, or upgrades. And then Epic actually controls control 6 or more resources. You can deploy this leader. And then on his backside, he states when this unit completes an attack, you may play an upgrade from your discard pile onto a friendly non-vehicle unit. It costs 1 less. So on the front side, you're allowed to play upgrades from your hand on units costing 1 less. On his backside, get ready to start playing them all out of your discard pile. And he doesn't have to hurt your unit for 1 damage to do it. So yeah, pretty cool. Really cool effect there. I think I like that. He's a Nate leader. I think he's really going to be about upgrade spam. That's what he's telling me immediately. He's an upgrade spam leader, and there's some good cards out there that can be upgrade spam with it and all of that. So a pretty neat leader. We'll have to kind of see what he does. I don't think he's the greatest leader out there. He's also a rare. So is he the best leader out of the set? No. But I mean, he's a leader that does a very interesting thing. I mean, he can literally even upgrade anything on himself. He can even do the upgrades on himself. So he has to complete and survive. You may play an upgrade from your discard pile on a friendly non-vehicle unit, including himself, and it just costs 1 less. So really neat card there. Kind of have to see what people play around with him. By the way, funny enough, now you can play the Comedians in Twin Sun, because now you have Lama Su and Nalase. Nalase ignores all clone aspects, and then can make all your clones die. You can gain 3 health, and then Lama Su can now upgrade all your clones. Really fun. Really fun. So, cool card. Cool leader there. Not a lot that I really like about him, but still, I mean, playing upgrades at cheap costs should not be scoffed at, even if you have to take 1 damage on the guy you're playing. It's still a pretty cool thing, especially if he survives attacks, like attacks your base, then he can start playing upgrades onto him, which makes him even better, because he's also got the villainy tag, hilariously enough. He can also give himself a constructed lightsaber and get raid too, which is kind of funny. Then we have Zam Wezel, 2 for 1/5. While this unit is upgraded, it gains grit, which is pretty nice. Again, as you can see, a few cards. Once you have a leader, Fantasy Flight usually releases a few cards that kind of combine with that leader to do that strategy. As we see, Zam Wezel wants to be played with Nalase. This also is good for Gar Saxon yellow, which is usually the typical color you see with Gar Saxon. Because remember, Gar is all about upgrading stuff. So you want to upgrade things so that they can get that +1 from Gar. So you kind of want to then upgrade her under Gar. So Gar gives the +1, then she gets grit. Also, Lama Su on his front side is really nice to help her, because once you upgrade her, she's got grit. That 1 damage automatically gives you that extra buff. So that is really cool overall right there. So we kind of already see a little bit of synergy right here. We do have we have a couple of upgrades here. A Creditor's Claim. The attached unit gains when defeated. You may defeat an enemy unit with 3 or less remaining HP. Again, it's an okay effect. It really does matter if your opponent has anything to kill with that, but still, a 2/2 buff is nothing to complain about at all. And then we have Nimble Prowess. Attached to a friendly unit. When played, you may exhaust a unit in the attached units arena, so that's really nice. So if you did like you win first, you have Llama-Su, you have Zam-Wesleil, you then trigger Llama-Su, then you could put Nimble Prowess under Zam-Wesleil, deal 1 damage to Zam-Wesleil. You play this practically for free because you reduce the cost of the card by 1. It doesn't say to a minimum of 1. So the card always will cost, this card costs 0. You get upgraded, you rest your opponent's unit, and then you automatically get grit as well. So you're automatically at that point swinging for a 3 damage, which is pretty nice. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Couple of interesting little upgrades there for us all. And of course, like I said, we have a lot of other upgrades that we can put onto things as well. We have Zotan Moji, another Underworld card. Pretty good for CAD, especially when you take initiative, you just deal 2 damage to your enemy's base. Yeah, really good for CAD Bane there. Just take the initiative. So you can swing. If your opponent doesn't take the initiative, you just take the initiative, take 2 damage to your opponent's base. To a base. Really also good for, as it says, to a base, because again, a lot of these cards are written for Twin Suns. Still, a really good, a 4/5 that can deal 2 damage to a base when you take the initiative. It's also good for Cad Bane, as I said, because of the fact of, because you have that Underworld tag. It's nice. Next up, we got Aggressive Negotiations. Attack with a unit. For this attack, it's +1 for each card in your hand. Really good if you got like a big hand or anything like that. Again, still a nice attack with a unit. For this attack, it's +1/+0. And then it's really nice. So if you got like a hand of 5 cards, you can go swing a guy, swing into your opponent's base, get a +5 basically on the attack, which is pretty nice. Overall, pretty cool card. Undercover Operation. Ready a unit that was played this phase. It costs 3. If it costs 3 or less, create a spy token. Dark Tereus. Chitoro Vigoroz. Do I need to say more? Another really good card for the Grand Inquisitor. That way we don't have to deal damage to things. Because what's even more hilarious, this was not a once per turn effect. So what you can even hilariously do is that you put her out Dark Tyranna, you don't even just use the ability for the Grand Inquisitor. So hilarious enough, if your opponent doesn't kill this on your 4th turn, you can swing someone like him. And then you could go swing someone like him, reveal, your opponent, let's say, pays 1, you pay, then you swing a Dark Tyranna to restand him, he swings again. If your opponent doesn't pay 1, you get that card to your hand. Then you can go, with your 3 power, you can go Undercover Operations, restand Dark Tyranna, as long as you swung, and then use the Grand Inquisitor to restand herself, and then you just restand this guy again. So typically, if this combo goes right, where you have all of these guys on the board, this guy can swing a turn up to 3 times. His natural swing, his swing for restanding off Dark Tyranna, and then his swing off Dark Tyranna again, because we just restand Dark Tyranna with Undercover Operations. And then we just create a spy token. Oh, well, look at that, me building combos. Man, I'm definitely talking about a lot about the Grand Inquisitor Spark of Rebellion. I better be bringing that deck probably first thing in week once this set releases, probably for maybe our first major video once set is official. But nonetheless, really, really cool. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, it's ready any unit. It's just ready any unit this phase. Ready unit that was played this phase. So I mean, heck, look at that. You so I guess you wouldn't be able to do much with it, because I guess it's ready any unit that played this phase. So that would mean that you would have to wait until like turn 6 to get this combo to go off. But still, that's nothing to scoff at. Let's say you have 5 resources. You can play a guy for 2, and then you can ready that guy and do stuff with it, which is pretty cool. Yeah, still, I should not scoff at this. This is a really neat card here. While it is very restrictive on it has to be played this phase, I think there are things you can do with it. Like I said, if it's a turn 6 with the Grand Inquisitor, you can, and this guy hasn't died yet, or maybe you can play Dark Tyranna. Maybe this guy is out from like turn 5. You can go Dark Tyranna, use this ability, restand Dark Tyranna. If this guy swung, Dark Tyranna, restand this. And then you can go the Grand Inquisitor, restand Dark Tyranna, restand him again, and then swing again. And then you can then flip over the Grand Inquisitor and then use the Grand Inquisitor's backside effect to restand him again and swing again. So there are some things I think you can do. You'd have to have everything line up right, but that doesn't mean anything. This card is still extremely neat. Heck, it may even go like into a strange Piet yellow strategy, because thanks to Piet's ability to reduce play costs, maybe you can bring out some big warships with your stuff, and then have like, as long as you could pay the 3, then pay the 3 here, restand your warship and swing in your opponent's face with it. So there are some things you can do with that for sure. A really neat card. We got Cruel Commandos. Of course, now we're seeing the clones have turned evil because now they're on the Imperial side. It has Sentinel, and it does have Overwhelm for 5/5/5. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Director Krennic is here for you all. I think this is our second Director Krennic unit, because we got one in JTL. He's a 9 cost 8/10, which is holy crap. Sentinel. When this unit is attacked, discard a card from your deck. If it's a unit, you may return it to your hand. Okay. But I'm not thinking, when the heck am I going to play this guy? I guess it definitely is going to be on a ramp strategy, but the way green has looked post-rotation, I'm not even sure if this guy's even going to see much play in post-rotation. How the heck are you going to get the 9 resources? Right now, it's really good for, like, the Emperor. Heck, it's really good even for, like, funny enough, even strategies like playing him in Piet. Funny enough, isn't even that bad, thanks to Piet's ability to, like, want to get up to that 9 resources. This isn't too bad, because then he has Sentinel protecting your ground, and every time he's attacked, and you just discard a card. If it's a unit, you get it to your hand. Congratulations, I'm going to discard a couple of big capital class vessels, and maybe I add them to my hand, and then congratulations, I have all these capital class vessels in my hand. He is neat. He is a legendary as well. I didn't read that one tag right there. He's a legendary. Is he a good legendary? I don't know. I like what he does. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's going to be very selective in the decks he can actually play in. Like, maybe the Emperor from Spark Rebellion can play him, because the Emperor needs to ramp up to get up to 8 resources. But like, Piet's like the only other leader that comes to my mind that really wants to ramp up to a high level of resources. Most other decks, you're not going to get to 9. Depending on what your matchup is, most of the time you won't get to 9. The max I've gotten sometimes, unless I'm in a ramp strategy, is like 6. Like 6 to 7, or maybe 8. And usually by then it's like very late in the game, and I should be winning, or my opponent should be winning at that point. But still, like the card. Definitely like the card. Like the effect. I guess maybe Kira can play him? Kira from the Shadow of the Galaxy with Data Vault? But again, all that stems in the fact that you have to survive long enough for him to come out. And he's a 9 cost character. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think he's still cool. Don't get me wrong. He's still cool. An 8/10 that can survive a lot. And being able to discard a card for your deck, and if it's a unit, just return to hand. That's a really good effect. Alright, so from that to Oran Frita. Anyways, another official unit. This unit gets +1/+0 for each law card in your discard pile. Again, really nice, showing a reason for the law cards. And now we're seeing a card that searches out the law cards. Again, law is our newest card here. Like Wrong Ride is a disaster. We know laws of the 2 cards. I don't think they're on this one. I was going to show you some cards. I think we talked about it in the other reveal. It was the 2 clone cards. Oh, there they are. Right. Charge for Treason is a law card. Escape Charge with Espionage is a law card. So it's interesting. So now we have a card that searches out law. Law is, I think, like a new tagline for this one, because again, we're in Secrets of Power, about talking about politics. So you search the top 10 cards of your deck, and you should reveal a law card and add it to your hand. So it really will matter on what law cards you want. And I don't know about this effect, because it really depends on how many law cards you have in your deck, if he ever really is going to see any play. He may be one of those rare leaders that never see much of the play, but he's neat for what he can do. For indeed. Funny enough, I just remembered, Masmada, I believe, is a official. Sorry, it just came to my head. I just have to see it. Sometimes these things pop in my head while I'm talking. Twilight Republic. Green. He's a double green leader, or double green card. Right, I need to go here. Oh yeah, he is an official. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. This is a really good card for. Funny enough, I was just thinking that Mon Mothma, because Mon Mothma is going to play. Of course, she can play him. I just realized, right, we can play Mada and Mon Mothma, and actually start searching up our official stuff. Pretty neat. But this popped in my head. Sorry for that. A little side tangent, but nonetheless, neat card. It's just going to really matter if law cards become prevalent enough that we need to search the top 10 cards for a law card. I mean, yeah, we saw like Jabba the Hutt from Sparkle Rebellion that searched the top 7 for a trick card, has some relevancy depending on the deck. So it really will matter if Orin Frita actually like matters at all. Because again, otherwise the whole aspect of him not being able to give any power, because if you only have one law card, he's a +1/+4 for 2. Searching top 10 and putting stuff on the bottom of your deck really might not be too helpful. So again, it kind of will matter if he's really there to search any really good law cards. We have Trade Route Taxation. Choose an opponent. If you control more units than that opponent, they can't play events for the face, which I find is absolutely funny. It does have plot as well, so I really like this card. I don't think it's good, but I just like the hilariously of it. And it's actually really fun in like Twin Suns. If you're going to play this one, I think this one's a really fun one for Twin Sun strategies. But in main games, I don't know, like JTL leaders might be able to abuse this because like Luke and Poe do play a lot of space units, so there's a chance that you could play this one. But still, really neat. We got another legendary, man goodness, where we looking at legendaries today in the Confidence in Victory. All right, folks. This one I have no idea if it's ever going to get any real. I think this one's going to see, without a question in my doubt, this one's probably going to be one of those legendaries that don't have much value in the secondary market. Because let's read it. For 10, for aggression and villainy, it has to be your first action. You cannot do anything else for the entirety of your turn. This has to be it. If you miss this, it's done. Choose an arena. At the start of the regroup phase, if you are the only player who controls units in that arena, you win the game. Tell me how that is going to work in Constructed. Who the heck is getting the 10 resources in a game? Unless you're Piet. Look, does that mean I'm going to play it in Piet Red? Sure, maybe I'll play it in Piet Red for the giggle. Maybe I get very lucky, but most times Piet wins games before I ever care about getting the 10 resources, because most of the time I'm hitting my opponent with my big ships and killing them off. So, you know what I think this card is funny for? Twin Suns. Is this funny for Twin Suns? 100% is it funny for Twin Suns. It does really do some weird aspects, like if you just happen to have enough space units in one arena, you can just win straight up the game. Is funny. Is it a good card? No, but is it a funny card to play in Twin Suns and try to win the game? Yes, but I've never seen a Twin Suns game go to 10 resources. So, it's a cool card for what it can do for you. It's an auto win button, as long as your auto win button doesn't get you killed. Because again, it's 10 cards, so if you are at full 10 resources, all your resources have to be played to do this first. You can't attack with a unit. You can't use a leader. You can't do anything. This has to be the first thing you do. But again, maybe in some strategies it works. Like I said, the only deck that actually comes to my mind that might be able to make this thing work is Piet Red, but that's because Piet can actually try to get up to 10. But because of Piet's ability to reduce play cost of your capital class vessels, I'm not so sure about this. Yeah, sure, maybe Piet has the best way to win in space because of all your capital class vessels, because they are so big and chunky. Other than that, I just don't know. I just don't know. Is it funny? Yes, it's funny. It'd be the funniest thing in the world if it actually gets you an auto win of a game. Think about it. Game 3, you both tied. You go confidence in victory, and you win with it. The auto win button, folks. The auto win button. Oh, it's the auto win button for me for Twin Suns. But other than that, no. This legendary, in my opinion, not a good legendary. Is it a good legendary for like Twin Sun strategies? Yeah, of course. That's kind of where I feel like this one's going to go into. It's going to go into Twin Suns. At most, you need one copy. And Constructed, I don't know who the heck's going to be playing this card. It's a neat, funny card, though. Holy crap, is there some neat, funny cards in here. We got 1 in a million that basically needs everything to go right for you to even use the card. And then we have confidence in victory, where we pray and hope that the arena you chose is your arena, where your opponent doesn't have any space units or any ground units at all. So pray to hope. I mean, yeah, sure, it works against JTL leaders because they mostly are in space, but other than that, cool card, though. Cool card. I like that at least we're getting some cards that are absolutely dumb that you'll never see function in any capacity in like constructed, but like in Twin Suns, they're pretty fun. If you can ever get up to 10 power in Twin Suns. Then we have 𝐂𝐐, 𝐶𝐈𝐒, Quinta, I think it's 𝐶𝐈𝐒. She comes out for 6/6/6. When playing, you may attack with a unit, and she has plot. So that's about it. Really nice. I mean, it's a nice thing to come out on. Heck, even not playing it with the plot is still nice. Again, you may attack with a unit. I mean, if that's just the way to win the game, it's just a way to win the game. So, neat card. Not gonna lie. Really, just the ability to play out a unit and then attack with another unit should not be scoffed at. That's how you win games. That's how you win games. It's also got the Rebel tag on it as well. So if you're ever looking to play this in, ever willing to play this with a Rebel tag or something that deals with Rebels is pretty nice as well. Sudden Ferocity. It's a 3 upgrade plot card. So it just gives you 3 health points, which is still pretty neat. Pretty cool, nonetheless. Pretty cool. I don't know if I plotted out, but still neat. It is generic as well, so Bell Organa can play it if you really want to, because it is just generic red. So Bell Organa can, if it does come out on resources when Bell Organa comes out, you can like attach it to Bell Organa, and suddenly he's he's got some ferocity in him and all that. But still, neat card nonetheless. And our last card, our last new card to talk about, Evil is Everywhere. Defeat a 3-cost villainy card that states defeat a unit that costs equal to or less than the number of villainy aspect icons among friendly units. So, you know where these 2 cards actually feel like to me where they're going to go? Anakin Skywalker, LOF, and Revan. Because those are mono leaders. So meaning that they can only really play villainy and whatever base they're strapped onto. So that's kind of where these 2 cards I think will probably see the most play because of the mono leaders. Is that good that they're buffing on mono leaders? Sure. Does that mean we're going to see more mono leaders? Probably. Are we going to see more mono leaders with just the villainy and heroic aspect? Maybe. Is this going to help buff up what, like, well, first off, I've never seen an Anakin, Lake Country, LOF Lake Country just yet, but I have seen people play Revan Lake Country. Does this help buff Revan Lake Country? Of course that helps buff up Revan Lake Country. It needed more buffs. God, that deck is horrible. But nonetheless, I mean, they're still good. They're still pretty neat. I mean, it's just on the number of aspects among friendly units. Anakin can even play this because of his ability to ignore the aspect penalty, and because you'll have like ability upgrades on some units, you can do stuff with that as well. But still, I think the 2 monocolored cards we got with Freedom and then Restore Freedom and then Evil is Everywhere is still pretty good for their 2 mono respective leaders of Anakin, LOF, and Revan. Overall, folks, this set is looking very interesting. There is some very interesting stuff playing around in my mind. I got weird decks with Grand Inquisitor Spark of Rebellion, with like Undercover Operations, Darth Treya, Chikatoro, Visigo. I'm gonna pronounce that name incorrect for the rest of my freaking life. But yeah, I mean, like, we got strategy for that. I'm glad we got another leader that has no epic action. We got some very unique legendaries in Grand Moff Tarkin and Dryan Boss. Even all of the KOTOR legendaries I think are highly playable in their own rights. They're all good. I mean, we got some okay leaders and like Lama Su. Like I said, Mon Mothma I wouldn't call great, but it's still a fun leader. I think there's some playability with her. Leia Organa is pretty okay. I think Governor Price could take games without even realizing it. I mean, there's just so much good stuff coming out in this set. A lot of stuff for playability. I think a lot of things that help buff existing strategies. There's a lot of really cool cards of what they can do. Like Director Critic, I think is an extremely neat card. I don't know what deck strategy can play it yet. The cards, and we got some fun gimmick cards, like stuff for like Twin Suns, like Confidence and Victory, Trade Route Taxation, just some cards that are really okay for like Twin Stun strategies. We got some more really good control stuff, like a draw 3 and then just like cycle 2. It could not be scoffed at. That's a +1. That's a +1 to your hand. Wrong Ride is a really good just control card. The Ebon Hawk, I think, has a strong playability. I think DJ's a neat leader. Is he going to be playable? I don't know, but still, with combination of the Libertine, I think there's some playability with him and his ability. I mean, placing a bunch of your guys under this ship, making this ship massive, and then just blowing it up or something, or rescuing all your guys, and then just having them all stand up and ready to punch your opponent in the face. It could not be scoffed at. And we got our first double-colored leader, our first mono double-colored leader. So yeah, it's really cool. Like, this set is rounding out to be very interesting for the meta of what becomes meta viable and for what moves forward from the LOF meta into the SEC meta. So it'll be very interesting to see what people start thinking about, what people start playing with, like all that. While I still think I'm not sold on plot just yet, there's a couple of cards that are good for plot. I like the disclose mechanic more than I like the plot mechanic, but nonetheless, I don't think there's anything wrong. This set is looking really, really cool. But guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What are you most excited for Secrets of Power from all of the revealed cards? We have 176 cards revealed to us so far. We nearly have the entire set to us. Again, the set is 254 cards. We have 175 of those cards revealed to us. We are moving ever closer to meeting every single card from this set. Remember, it's November 7th we get this set. I am recording this on October 3rd. There is a month and 4 days before Secrets of Power is released to us all. So yeah, let me know, guys, your thoughts down in the comments on Secrets of Power. What are you most excited about from this set? What exciting cards do you have from KOTAR 2? Are you excited for all the KOTAR 2 Sith guys coming out? And what do you think of the leaders that we've seen? Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, Lama Su, DJ, Leia Organa. Let me know all that down in the comments. Let me know what cards you hope will be released in Secrets of Power. Let me know what you're going to build as the first deck out of Secrets of Power. Let me know all of that down in the comments. And while you're commenting, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you can notify when my videos go live for you. I will see you next time on Modern Dragons TCG.